my wife is pregnant and everything, so I would have to turn them down. So that's why I really say, I told the committee before they even start selecting, don't choose me because I'm going to have to turn you down. See, that's why they didn't pick me, see.
I'm sure you're glad to hear that Terry told the committee that he was taking his name out of there because he wanted to have the summer off, so.
Oh, that's really nice of him.
Enough, Wolf, and you know Terry will be telling golf whoppers this summer. The Blazers can have the Suns wrapped up by tomorrow night at this time, so forget Game 4.
It's just a question of coming out and doing the things that you've been doing the whole series, and if we can do that, then we're going to wrap it up. But I think our thought is just to keep playing and trying to improve as a team with each and every game. I think execution and defense is going to be the key.
After practicing down there this morning, the Suns flew into Portland this afternoon. They're down 3-1, and Bell Bottoms have a better chance of coming back. But don't tell that to Coach Cotton.
Realistically, do you think you guys can come back and win?
You're asking the wrong guy. You're really asking a stupid question of the eternal optimist, so I don't know why you'd ask me that question. If you know anything about me, I think I can win every time I come into Portland, even though I've lost a few games. So, yeah, I think we can come back.
And
sit down, you shrimp Fitzsimmons! If you want to hit somebody, Chambers, you come over here and hit this man! Come on! Let's go! If the Suns come over, I've got Mustafa and Lang. Desiree, you take Mark West.
Can you imagine that guy at the Coliseum behind the Suns bench? Game 5 for the Cavs and Boston Bird play, but not...
That's what they'd like to see coming up. We've got basketball, baseball, you name it, it's coming up. We'll be right back with Duck. The other night against Phoenix.
Weeks were ironic because the Blazers have ducked opportunities to use Duckworth during crunch time this season. It's no secret Kevin has been hurt by that lack of confidence. But when the chips were down on Monday, Kevin put his shots down too, making both his second overtime hook shots and all 4 of his free throws in the last 43 seconds.
It was a great honor to be able to come through when we needed it. I'm sure anybody else on the team would have did it, and I just happened to be me. It was the highlight of my career, definitely. Because it was a crucial moment. It was a moment, a game that we definitely needed, and you can't get in a better situation than that.
And nothing could be better for the Blazers than if Duckworth can be worth more crunch time efforts in the playoffs.
I'm really hoping that gives him a lot of confidence going into this next game and beyond, because we really need him to be effective if we're going to continue to win.
That was ball games all about, being in the fourth quarter when they need you in the crucial moments. You're right, in the past I have not been there during the regular season, and hopefully things will change one day.
That one day may be tomorrow in Game 5. Ron Carlson, Channel 2 Sports.
Hockey now, none of the division winners during the
game of his coaching career. He and his team practiced this morning in Phoenix before flying to the Northwest. They have played themselves into a corner, and they say they'll come out scratching and clawing in Game 5. You know all the cliches, time to let it all hang out, go for broke, never say die, there's no tomorrow. Bottom line is the Suns don't want their season to end.
Just make one play that we didn't make the other night. We can't play much better. We can't play much better. You just got to go play. That's all. Make one play. Make one less foul, get one rebound, make one shot. Let Dan's shot go in. You know, there's not a whole, it's not a, I have told you people before, it's not brain surgery. It's not a whole lot of things. We just got to do one thing a little better.
See, I always thought it was brain surgery. Then it was on a jet and off to Portland, where they landed this afternoon at about 4:30. The Suns looked determined getting off their bus, and Dan Marley also looked a little battle-worn. He was limping noticeably and not in a mood to sign autographs. The Suns are on their last leg, but don't expect them to go down without a fight. The Blazers certainly don't expect a trip to Grandma's house tomorrow night. They expect a battle, and they were preparing for that battle this afternoon. They were shooting those free throws, for one thing. The theme for today, forget about Game 4, worry about Game 5.
We just got to come out and play your regular game. You can't get too confident, overconfident, and you just got to come out and play the game. They're still a very good team. We still respect them a great deal, and we're still expecting a very tough Game 5.
If we lose Game 5, then we might as well not have won Game 4. So, you know, we got to hold our home court advantage here and win this game.
There was one playoff game tonight in Cleveland where the Cavaliers trying to move one.
Looking forward to being a member of that team, but you know, even if they would invite me, I wouldn't be able to go because you know my wife is pregnant and everything, so I would have to turn them down.
So that's why I really, I told the committee before they even started selecting, don't choose me because I'm going to have to turn you down. See, that's why they didn't pick me, see.
He would have been there.
Why.
That's why he's not on the team.
I would have picked Terry.
Had to clear that. So, of course, who wouldn't?
It's been a while since you included Ruth Buzzy in your sportscast, too. It's been quite a few months.
The venerable Ruth Buzzy.
Good to hear.
She's a big sports fan, too.
Get ready for Phoenix and Portland tonight. We'll be right back. Solid contribution from the Blazer bench has put them in this position. Here's Clyde Drexler with comments about both of those and how they're important to this game tonight.
We have the ability to shoot from the outside, but we also have an established post-up game. I think that's really been a key for us. We got an inside game. We're just not a perimeter shooting team, and I think because of that versatility, I think that's what gets us over the hump. So I think those guys have really responded well, and that's what it takes to become a total team. I think everyone has contributed, and it's just a joy to play on a team where everybody who comes in plays at a very high level and gives it 110%.
And that's what they hope to get tonight to wrap this baby up. Did you see the game the other night from Phoenix? Did you see all those signs, including one written in Phoenix which said that Portland fans have stupid signs? Look who's talking. Ron Carlson did.
While the Blazers and Suns are trading shots on the court, Portland and Phoenix fans have been trading shots on television. Sign wars have become pretty heated again during the playoffs, and so far, Suns fans seem to be taking the low road.
I think their fans are a little bit more rude than our fans. That's what I think.
For example, they've held up signs calling Duckworth a fatty and hoisted a pair of baby Huey-sized underwear. They've called the team a bunch of whiners, and to incite the crowd, the Suns front office has even put Blazers team quotes on the Coliseum big screen.
Obviously, the noise didn't bother us. You know, I don't think it does after a while. It was very noisy there. I know that. I will have nothing better to see our fans come out here tonight and really pick it up another level to really get us going.
Now, so far, I must admit Suns fans have been louder. They peaked the noise meter in Game 4 to the point where Danny Ainge was looking for some earplugs. But part of that may have been just to shut out the verbal abuse the players have been taking.
They get dirty with some of their signs and some of their language to the players. I don't think that happens in Portland.
But that doesn't mean Blazers fans won't respond. At Powell Motors today, they prepared a number of signs for tonight's game. Now, most of them were of typical Blazer fan politeness, but there was one that included a response to the Phoenix placard that said, "Portland fans have stupid signs." This one reads, "Phoenix signs have stupid fans." Let the sign wars resume. Ron Carlson, Channel 2 Sports.
That's pretty good. Maybe we'll see some more tonight, and if we do, we'll certainly pass them on to you at Blazer Extra at 11:30. Two more games today. Utah can eliminate Seattle, thereby awaiting the winner of this series. They can do that tonight. And the Bulls can bounce the Knicks out of the playoffs, but right now the Knicks are ahead by 7 in the first half of that contest. Highlights of both games for you tonight at 11. Well, as we mentioned at the beginning of our
the Valley of the Sun to stay.
Ed Whalen joins us now from Memorial Coliseum. Ed, the home court advantage surely will help the Blazers, don't you think?
Oh, yeah. Phoenix is in a big hole, I think, over here. But they haven't given up the ship yet, as we're going to hear in a few minutes. But first, let's get down to the floor. Running and shots, come on in. What do you have going for us down there today?
All kinds of stuff, Ed. As you can see, the Suns are warming up in back of me, and what I'm hoping, of course, is that, well, obviously they're not hitting me in the back of the noggin. But anyway, the Phoenix Suns come in obviously down 3-1, and this is a tough situation for them to be in. The Blazer bench has been one of the keys in the series so far. Guys like Cliff Robinson, Danny Ainge have been coming off the bench doing a terrific job, especially Mr. Danny Ainge. And boy, has he found the range in postseason play so far. Danny Ainge knows the feeling of winning an NBA crown, twice to be exact, as part of the Boston Celtics in the 80s. With the Blazers, Ainge has a chance at a hat trick, and he'll play a crucial role along the way. Now, speaking of roles, that's this veteran status with Portland, coming off the bench to contribute important minutes. He was terrific in Monday's double overtime victory, 25 points and a ton of clutch jumpers. Never sharper.
Well, one thing that's different this year, Ann, is I really feel like I can predict pretty much when I'm going to go in. You know, Rick has been pretty consistent with that. I have a pretty good idea of when I'm going to play, when I'm not going to play. So that takes a lot off my mind. All I can really, now I just have to focus on doing my best.
Ainge has really turned around last year's disappointing postseason performance. One reason, increased playing time at the end of the regular season. The other?
I think the other thing is, again, I think I expected a little more playing time and in different situations. They said they got me for the playoffs, and a little disappointed when my minutes weren't up last year in the playoffs, and I think that affected me. And this year, I'm with the confidence up a little bit, and just knowing exactly what to expect has helped me mentally a great deal.
And obviously the best thing that Blazer reserves can do at this point is to understand what their roles really are. Guys like Ainge, Cliff, etc., understand exactly what they're supposed to be in there for. Valuable minutes to spell the starters and to give them some big plays. That's what they've been doing so far.
All right, and all things considered, they're doing a pretty good job.
Yep.
Now, as you said, the Phoenix Suns are down 3-1, and a lot of people are writing them off. But if there is anybody on that Suns team who knows what it's like to be down and then come back, it's Lionel Hollins here, the champion Trailblazers. I remember you guys were down 2-0 to Philly, and you guys came back on them. I said coming up here to you that 3-1 that's a bigger hole, and you said not really.
It's still 2 games, no matter how you look at it, and we had to win 4 games to win the series, and we have to win 4 games to win this series. I've also been involved in being up 3-1 when I was a 76er against Boston, and both series went to 7 games. We won 1 and we lost 1. The 4th game is always the toughest to get, and for the Phoenix Suns tonight, our motto is to get it back to Phoenix and see what happens there.
You know, Lionel, let's talk about you a little bit. I look around the Coliseum here, and I see all of these jerseys who are retired, and I think there's, you know, they're going to have to add 2. I think they're going to have to add Clyde Drexler's, of course, and I think they should add yours. Do you think about that at all?
I think about it very little. Usually when I come back and, you know, in playoff time or during the regular season, I get asked the question a lot. But, you know, I have nothing to do with whose name and whose jersey goes up there. And, you know, I would love to have it up there, and it would be a great honor. But the Trailblazers, it's their call, and if they decide to do it, again, I'd be honored. And if they don't decide to do it, I'm still going to be happy, and I still respect the organization and what they've done up here.
Well, I'll say the same thing to you that I say to the rest of the Suns who have sat in that chair. Good luck tonight, man, but not too much.
Well, we need a little bit of a luck. We have a few breaks here and there, and we could be up 3-1.
Okay, yeah, what a great series. Okay, folks, I want to update you on the Chicago Bulls and New York Knicks series that's being played right now. There you go. Game 6 in New York between the Bulls and Knicks. Right now they're in the second, and the Knicks lead by a count of 30-27. Of course, a Knicks win will force Game 7 Sunday afternoon in Chicago. Now, Lyle Alzado, one of the best defensive linemen in pro football history, died in Portland this morning. Alzado blamed steroid use for his brain cancer. Alzado, who once fought Muhammad Ali, was 43 years old and one of the game's biggest characters. Alzado played for Denver, Cleveland, and the Raiders. He said he started using steroids in 1969 to better compete. The family plans a private service in Portland tomorrow. From the high seas, America Cubed is a win away from capturing the America's Cup. The America's boat beat the Italian boat by 64 seconds and can wrap up the best of 7 affair Saturday. Another wreck at Indy today. A dude named Jeff Wood took his 91 Lola Buick into the wall and turned 4 at just under 211 miles per hour. Wood skidded 100 feet along the wall, then rolled 800 feet across the track before stopping against the infield wall, and Wood walked away from the spill. They drew the post positions today for Saturday's second leg of the Triple Crown. Who's that? I thought it was a big jockey, but no, it's Washington Bullets coach Wes Unseld, the honorary selector. Derby winner Lily T drew the number 9 position, but Hammer left an unhappy rapper. His horse, Dance Floor, will have to start the 14-horse race from the 14th position, but I'm not so sure that's a bad spot for a fast horse. Okay, if you listen to my partners on Couple Radio this morning, you heard the first half of today's clue, and the second half of the clue for those free Garth Brooks tickets is guitar, like in B.B. King, guitar. And listen to the Waking Crew on Couple tomorrow morning for tomorrow's crew. And that's about it from the Coliseum. Mike and Shirley, the tension is building. Hopefully the Blazers will put this thing away tonight. A little selfish here, because if they don't, I'm on an airplane tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock.
Guitar, spoken like a true country western fan. Thanks, Ed.
They're halfway home in Portland in what could be the clincher for the Blazers. They lead the Suns 71-58 and lead the series 3-1. Ernie Johnson in Atlanta with the Prudential Halftime Report, joined, as always, by Isaiah Thomas here for our doubleheader night. And, you know, the stats don't always tell the story, Zeke, but Kevin Johnson, 0 in the first half. That tells you a little bit of something about this game.
Well, he's got to get involved in the game. He's got to get involved offensively for them to score points. But I think the biggest problem that they're having is they can't stop Portland from scoring. They've scored enough points in the first half. 58 points is a lot of points, but Portland has scored 71. I think Portland has come out on a mission to close this series out, and there was a struggle back and forth for the first quarter and the second quarter, the emotional struggle. I think the last 3 minutes of the second quarter, Portland's emotion just overrode things that Phoenix were trying to do, and they couldn't stop them from scoring.
So it's a 13-point lead for the Portland Trail Blazers at halftime. Earlier tonight, game 1 of our doubleheader, 100-86, New York stays alive against Chicago. Patrick Ewing with a huge game. It just conjures up images of the 1969-1970 season, the championship, the New York Knicks against the LA Lakers. Remember, Willis Reed goes down in Game 5, misses Game 6. They say, what's going to happen in Game 7? He goes to the Garden, and the place is rocked off of its hinges because Willis comes on and plays, and the Knicks beat the Lakers for the title. Well, tonight, here's Pat Ewing stepping on Bill Cartwright. He goes down and twists the ankle. Ewing leaves the game. Will he come back? You know he will, because if they lose this game, the season's over. Ewing back in the ballgame, a 27-point night, playing on that bad wheel. Gets it to go off the glass, 27 points on the evening. New York with a 100-86 victory to stay alive. Now the question, how about the big guy's status for Game 7? Pat Riley says he'll be there. You can count on it.
Maybe it's fate, you know, the fact that this is the first time that we've had a couple days off. So he's going to have 2 days, 2.5 days to be able to get treatment, and but he'll be there, you know, he'll be there.
You know, we talk about the Willis Reed kind of connection on this thing. You can identify with this, the '88 finals, playing at the Great Western Forum, and you had a bum ankle and still went crazy on those guys. Does something take over in your mind when your ankle is saying, let's go home?
Well, you just don't want to be denied. You want to win. You want to do everything in your power. And as an athlete, you call on your body to do supernatural things or superhuman things that most people don't call on their body to do. And you just don't want to be denied, and you become extremely focused, and you go out and you try to concentrate on the things that you have to do out on the basketball court.
You have done some superhuman things. I cannot make the same claim. Let's talk about the Seattle Supersonics and the Utah Jazz also playing tonight, and the Jazz trying to close out Seattle at the Delta Center. Jerry Sloan's guys up 3-1. John Stockton, end of the first half. Slices, dices, hammers the 3. They're up by 4 at the break. Seattle comes back to take a lead. Eddie Johnson, the grizzled old veteran, draining a three-pointer, 82-79. Sonics trying to stay in this thing, but it's Stockton inside to the mailman, right? No! It's Mark Eaton, had a bunch of big buckets down the stretch. Tough to miss from that close in, 105-100 at that point. It ends up 111-100. Utah with the win, and they advance for the first time ever to the Western Conference Finals. If it's Portland and Utah, who do you like?
Well, I like Portland. I like Portland to come out of the West. They've been the most dominant team in the West the whole season, and I like their talent, I like their toughness, and I think they're hungry enough to go back to the finals.
The thoughts of Isaiah Thomas here, and we have much more to come from Zeke when we come back as the Prudential Halftime Report continues. '71-58 lead over the Phoenix Suns as they try to close out Phoenix in the Western Conference semifinal series. The Prudential Halftime Report continuing. Ernie Johnson and Isaiah Thomas back here in our Atlanta studios. I want to take a few minutes and just go one-on-one here with Zeke. No basketball involved. Yes, indeed. You're 31 years old now, big guy. The rest of your career, how do you see it? How many more years you want to play? Where do you want to play?
Well, you know, I'm not smart enough to sit here and say, well, I'm going to play 2 more years or 3 more years, because I don't know how I'm going to feel at that age. I wish I did, and I wish I was that smart. I think I'm the type of guy who one day will wake up and just say, well, I don't want to play anymore. I'll play as long as I can play, and as long as I'm healthy, as long as I feel like playing. But I'm not smart enough to predict the future 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 4 years from now. You just play until you don't want to play anymore, and then you jump up and say, I quit.
So right now you're still happy playing, but let me ask you about the Olympic team thing. Does that hurt? You bitter?
No, I'm not bitter at all. I think the Olympic Committee was faced with some tough choices, some tough decisions. They picked the best team that they thought would represent the United States, and all those guys who were picked on the team, you can't say none of them shouldn't be there.
What if USA Basketball called tomorrow and said, you know, maybe we do need alternates on this team. Isaiah, would you come out here on this team now? What would your response be?
Well, I don't know. You know, I've been asked a lot of hypothetical questions and a lot of theoretical questions, but you can't really answer those things until they happen at that time. But as I've stated all along, you know, I'm an American, and I'll do anything I have to do for my country. And I know that sounds like, you know, mom and apple pie and all that, but
What's
you know,
wrong with
as
that?
I was talking to you before, you know, it's when the troops went over to fight the war, and then in the Gulf.
Saddam Hussein.
In the Gulf.
Yeah.
You know, just because the first troops went in first and the second troops came in second, you know, you can't be mad who goes first and who comes second. You just go and you do what's right. And I just want to do what's right.
Isaiah Thomas, we certainly appreciate you taking the time to come by Atlanta tonight. It's been our pleasure on this doubleheader Thursday night. Still to come tonight on TNT, Inside the NBA. Fred Hickman is your host. Doc Rivers is there. They'll have the entire NBA story. And then again tomorrow night, we are back with you. Game 6, the Cavs and the Celtics here on TNT, tipping it off at 8. Back for the third quarter in a minute.
Final score, the Blazers win it 118-106. They win the best-of-7 series 4-1, and the newest member of the 1992 United States Olympic team is with us now. Clyde Drexler, 34 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists. Clyde, you guys wanted to put him away tonight. You didn't want to take a step back, and you did just what you wanted.
Well, we came out, we were poised, we played under control. I think we were very much into the game. Our intensity was super, and just a great overall game.
Clyde, I was really impressed at times with the defensive effort. I mean, it looked like you guys turned it up every time the Suns made a run, and I think that is becoming the mark of this team, defensive pressure.
I think the defense has been the key for us all season long. Our offense has had spells where we haven't been able to score because we were not executing properly, but our defense has given us a chance to win most of the games.
Clyde, the fact that you were at the University of Houston, you had an NCAA championship just about taken away from you. You had a shot at an NBA championship. How special is this year for you now?
Well, this is what you play for each and every year. You play for an NBA championship, and until you get it, there's going to be a thirst, and you got to quench that thirst, and I hope this is the year.
Clyde Drexler, I know you have not had a chance to think about the Utah Jazz, but they are sitting there waiting for you. They are right now realizing that they will have to play you guys. What do you see in that series?
Well, they're a very good team. They've had a great year. We have a lot of respect for that team, but it's a team that we feel we can win if we play well in that series. I think the key in that series, once again, is going to be what we do on the defensive end.
Well, Clyde Drexler, on behalf of TNT, congratulations on not only a fabulous year, but also being named to the 1992 Olympic team. And I know you've been real calm about it and everything, but inside, I'm sure your heart is pounding pretty hard right now.
I'm very happy. It's just a great honor. I think I've had a lot of support on a national level, but I think it all started here locally. So I'd like to thank all those people who have given me support for the last 6 or 7 months, because it's been a hard time. It's been a lot of questions being shot at me from everybody, and it's been a long period to answer questions that were beyond your control. So that was a tough period for me.
One more thing you might not be aware of, you passed Don Nelson tonight for the all-time scoring list in the playoffs, so we have to congratulate you for that also.
What about Cotton Fitzsimmons? His last game as coach of the Phoenix Suns. He saw him talking to all the players after the game.
Cotton has been great for the game. I think Cotton has had a very successful Phoenix Suns club the last 3 or 4 years, and he deserves a lot of credit.
Well, you talk about thanking all the people for the support. Thank you.
Thank you, yes.
For all the fun you've shown us and all the excitement you've given us, especially this year. We've had some great games.
It's a great game, guys, and whenever you got two teams that play at a very high level, you're bound to have a very good game, and that's what this sport is all about. Competition at its best, but sportsmanship last but not least.
And I did plug Drexler's Barbecue, okay? So when I go to Houston now, I expect a comp meal at least out of this, all right?
And since I was with him, I get it free, too.
All right, Clyde Drexler as the Portland Trail Blazers advance to the Western Conference Finals against Utah. Now let's go to our studios in Atlanta with Ernie Johnson. EJ, this is one class gentleman sitting next to us.
You're very right, Ron Thulin, and always putting in that bid for those free refills on iced tea, too, man. You never stop. Ron Thulin, Goose Givens out there. What an emotional night of playoff action here, folks. We had 3 teams who could have clinched tonight. 2 went ahead and did that. The Portland Trail Blazers with a 118-106 win over Phoenix. And earlier tonight, we had bonus coverage of this one as it went down to the wire. Utah pulling away to win 111-100 over the Seattle Supersonics. They win that series 4-1, and for the first time ever, Utah advances to the Western Conference Final. Now, the story in the East, it ain't over yet, folks. The New York Knicks 100-86 over the Chicago Bulls in a thriller. Patrick Ewing, bad ankle and all, scores 27 points. New York and Chicago head back to Chicago Stadium on Sunday for deciding Game 7. You'll see all the highlights of what's going on tonight inside the NBA next here on TNT. Fred Hickman, Doc Rivers, so many highlights, you will be begging those guys to stop. Tomorrow night here on TNT, we're back at you. Game 6 of the Cavs-Celtics series. Cleveland with a 3-2 lead, trying to close it out on the parquet at Boston Garden. Cannot wait to see that one. I want to thank Isaiah Thomas for stopping by tonight. It was our pleasure having him as our studio analyst for the evening. Bud Player of the Game comes your way from Portland when we send you back, and we'll see you tomorrow night, folks.
Consecutive year advanced to the Western Conference Finals as they defeat the Phoenix Suns handily tonight. The final 118-106, and our Budweiser Player of the Game, no question about it tonight. It's Clyde Drexler, 34 points on 14 of 22 from the field, 8 assists, 8 rebounds to go along with the number. Clyde Drexler, our Budweiser Player of the Game, and once again, Jack, he did it all.
He's that kind of player. He's been everywhere all throughout the series, and it's nice to see the guy on the Olympic team very gracious in receiving that honor.
Well, be sure to stay with TNT as NBA action continues tomorrow and tonight. Immediately following our game, it's Fred Hickman and Doc Rivers on Inside the NBA. And then tomorrow night, we'll have the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Boston Celtics. That'll get underway at 8 o'clock Eastern time right here on TNT. Once again, our final score, Portland advances to the Western Finals against Utah, 118-106 over Phoenix. For Jack Gibbons and our entire crew in Portland, Oregon, I'm Ron Thulin. Thanks for watching, and good night, everybody.
Before you throw to that, why don't you tell me your impressions of the Blazers after the first 2 rounds of the playoffs?
Well, Phil, I think the Blazers are becoming the Ghostbusters right now. They're dispelling myths and kind of burying the ghosts of the past. And it's an impressive ride, and I think you're right. I think the fun is just beginning. We're kind of on a little crescendo that's starting to build, and right now the Blazers are looking like a team that it's going to be very difficult for anybody that plays basketball on this planet to beat. You know, there was the myth that we had that Clyde Drexler was not a leader or really a clutch playoff player. Certainly Clyde has put all of that to rest in his play this season and in the past as well, but still those little murmurs continue. Kevin Duckworth had the ghost of the Los Angeles series haunting him, but Duck was a hero back in Phoenix, and if it wasn't for him, we might still be heading back to Phoenix for Game 6. People have said the Blazers are not a good half-court offensive team. They have been almost flawless in the half-court this year. They beat Phoenix with their half-court game. The Suns' limited success in this series came when they could boost the tempo. The Blazer half-court is really improving. They continue to get more disciplined. And, oh, yes, there were those rumors of the Blazers being a somewhat less than intelligent team. Well, the Blazer mental approach, I don't think, can be questioned. More and more disciplined. And they are finishing off playoff series the way they finish off fast breaks. This team's mental approach to the game, they didn't let the riots in Los Angeles stop them. They didn't let Phoenix being down 3-1 and at any chance to be overconfident stop them. This was their best game of the series tonight. So on all levels, this Blazer team is getting better. It's fun to watch, and there just could be a parade here next month. I know that's looking ahead a little bit, but they're playing very, very well right now. Tonight, their key, they stopped Phoenix cold defensively. Great defense. The Suns shoot 44%. Kevin Johnson, not a factor in this game. 12 points, 6 assists. Very ordinary numbers. The Suns, again, only shooting 44% from the field. Let's go to the locker room and listen to what the Blazers had to say.
They got Karl Malone, Jeff Malone, and John Stockton, and you got to be able to guard those people. But the biggest thing for us against them is how well we move the ball and people, because they got big guys and Eaton who stand around the basket, and if we don't move the ball, if we're impatient offensively, they can really affect us.
Malone gets a lot of calls, no matter what. He throw the ball up all kind of ways, and he get called. So hopefully we can eliminate that.
If we play defense and rebound, it will be hard to stop us, because once we're in the open floor, it's kind of tough.
Of course, the Trailblazers looking ahead to Utah, which comes up 12:30 on Saturday. The Jazz, a different challenge. They have the great shot blocker in Eaton. The half-court offense will need to be very, very good to move the ball and beat him. So, and Utah just took apart completely a fast break-oriented Seattle team, cleared them out in 5 games. So the Blazers, though much more versatile than the Sonics, but that will be the challenge against Utah. But that's the beauty of the Trailblazers. They are a versatile team. You know, Buck Williams, not really a huge factor in this series, had to play out on the court, extended away from the basket quite a bit. That's not really his best game. His best game is down inside. That's where Karl Malone plays, and Buck Williams really helped stop him last year as the Blazers beat Utah in the playoffs a year ago. So again, now you have a great player like Buck Williams to come in and rescue you next time. So again, the Blazers' versatility makes them a factor no matter who they play. The home court advantage is very large in this series, and the Blazers have it the first 2 games here in Portland. Game 1 Saturday, Game 2 will be Tuesday night.
You know, Mike, Clyde Drexler continues to amaze me. The guy on the Sports Illustrated cover this week, and, you know, it was Kersey all first half. He made the big plays, but Clyde had a quiet 17 points in the first half, and he led the way.
Well, Clyde Drexler is doing what the great players do. He's leading his team. He's playing better. He's raised his level, but he's taking the rest of the team with him. And the Blazers are, I think, clearly a better team now than they have been at any time in the last 2 years, and we're going to see just how far they can go. But every great team has a great leader. The Blazers certainly have one in Drexler, and the Suns couldn't stop him again. You know, he ended up, let's look at the sheet here, 34 points, 8 assists, and 8 rebounds. You didn't really need those numbers if you watched the game to know that he had a huge impact on the game and virtually unstoppable for the Phoenix Suns, and Clyde's been that way every night of the playoffs this year, and seemingly there's nobody really that can stop him except the guy that wears 23 for Chicago, and that's about an even-up matchup.
All right, Michael, great job over there. Another complete win for the Blazers. They are really rolling, and they're looking great right now.
Absolutely.
Our congratulations to the Blazers.
Yeah.
Let's go to Jim for one last word on the weather. Jim?
More sunshine, hazy sunshine, but temperatures continue in the 70s.
1 second. Kersey shoots it. It's over. No good. Portland wins.
But even here, tickets are hard to come by.
No, we've been sold out. It's noon yesterday.
Sometimes your best bet is pooling your resources. Just a few bucks in the Blazer cable jar. But the big loser here may be the host, who doesn't always get his money back. George Smith, Channel 2 News.
Well, your best bargain for Blazer highlights today.
And yes, the Blazers whipped Phoenix like cake batter. So it's the Blazers and Utah for the Western Conference Championship. The Blazers jumped out to shoot early. Clyde to Buck Williams, and it was 10-3 Blazers out the gate. Kevin Johnson was so mad he smacked the television off the press table, scaring the newspaper guy, and duck picks Marley, and Drexler is gone. Up and over Chambers, slam dunk. 35-31 Portland after 1. The Suns led by 1 in the second, but then Chambers no good. It's tapped to Kersey. Kersey brings it up court by himself over to Porter and let the good times roll because Marley passed that baby to nobody. Drexler picked it up and fired it like Joe Montana to Terry Porter. 54-47 Blazers. Then Buck Williams ganked it from Chambers. Whalen turned a noun into a verb. To Drexler, who's your daddy? Who's your daddy? 71-58 Blazers at recess. Third stanza, and Marley throws it away. Buck grabbed it. Buck to Porter. Out to Clyde Drexler, and it's a slam dunk. 80-66 Blazers. The Suns cut it to 3 in the fourth, but then Cliff blocked Hornacek, and Terry Porter could go all the way. The Blazers by 7. Then Drexler and Kersey mugged Sabalos. Drexler grabbed it, and he could go all the way. 105-94 Blazers. Then with 1:20 left, Drexler scored his 34th point. Somebody ring the bell. School's out. The Blazers eliminate the Suns. So long and good luck, Cotton. 118-106 Blazers. Clyde Drexler, you the man. So the Blazers are back in the Western Conference Final for the 3rd straight year. Not much time for celebration because they'll host the Jazz in Game 1 Saturday afternoon. Now standing by over at the Coliseum is my partner running in shots. And running in shots, it looks like you're standing tall over there on the sidelines.
That's right, Ed. Big is life here at Memorial Coliseum. You had all those fun highlights, and you showed exactly what the Blazers did against the Suns tonight. They controlled the tempo, and they controlled the boards, and that's why they're making another trip to the Western Conference Finals.
To win 4-1. I think the thing that we did, though, we just never gave up. Our defense was very consistent. We're very competitive at all times. We kept total concentration, and good things happen when you give that kind of effort.
Both teams are so evenly matched, and you know, both teams play extremely well. And you know, we just able to get some breaks down the stretch, down in Phoenix a little bit, and get that split that we needed. I just came home and took care of business.
Yeah, we challenged shots tonight on the defensive end, out on the court, driving to the basket, and that's something we hadn't did a lot of. And I think every time someone went to the basket, somebody was there to challenge them.
The guys came out tonight. They played terrific. I tell you what, they was on the shots, block shots. I looked up, we had 12 blocks. Guys just alert. They show how ready people were.
Everybody did, and again, it's the help defense, the weak side defense, people rotating well, things like that, huh?
See, that's what it takes, you know, in the playoffs. You can't leave one guy on one to guard one guy because it makes it more difficult for him. I mean, you know, ain't nobody gonna stop one guy in this league, especially if you're an offensive scorer. So it takes a whole team effort.
That's what Doug said. Whole team effort. That's what the Blazers had. 4 games to 1 over Phoenix. Bring on Utah, Ed.
Okay, hand shots. Thank you very much, folks. I want to take you right down to Utah. I want to show you what they did against Seattle. Down in Utah tonight, John Stockton drove the length of the floor and hit 3 at the end of the first half. Jazz over Seattle 64-60 at the breather. The Sonics hung around, though. Fast Eddie Johnson hits 3, and it was the Sonics by 3 after 3, but then Stockton stole it to Tyrone Corbin. This will go down court and end up in a slam dunk. Jazz by 3 late. Then the Sonics threw away their last chance, and that was the ball game. Big Mart Eaton finished it 111-100 Utah the final. The Jazz are in their first ever conference final. At New York tonight, the Knicks put the squeeze on the Bulls. John Starks caught fire, 17 points in the second quarter. Knicks by 8 at the break. Third quarter, and the Bulls storm back. Jordan gets it ahead to Pippen. Bulls by 2 after 3. Fourth quarter, Tempers player Will Purdue's lucky. Somebody stepped between him and that tough boxer and basketball player Anthony Mason. But with bum ankle and all, Patrick Ewing led New York back. 11 points in the quarter, 27 in the game. Jordan only 21 points. The Knicks win 100-86. Look at him. The deciding game is Sunday in Chicago. From baseball.
Told us before the game that his team was ready, but that Kevin Johnson, was the key. KJ could not have played yesterday if there had been a game, he told us, and tonight his muscle pull was evident. He had no explosion, but the Blazers sure did. They exploded to 8-1 start in this one. Jerome Kersey with 14 points in the half. The Blazers led by 4 after 1. Phoenix held the lead for only a moment in the second quarter. Tim Perry hit from the baseline, and Phoenix led by 1. But then all Portland, 12-2 to close the half. Blazers by 13 at halftime. And that really was the ball game. Second half, Portland just maintained the edge, though Phoenix did pull within 3 on Tom Chambers' hoop there. But Rick Adelman called a timeout. Then the Blazers reeled off 8 straight, and that was it. Portland over Phoenix, 118-106.
They're such an explosive team. When you make a turnover, they dunk on you. When you take a bad shot, they run out on you. And I give them the credit. The way they're playing, I said all along that they were the best in the West, and they certainly are one of the teams you're going to have to deal with as far as the NBA championship is concerned. They're an outstanding team.
The pressure was on us coming back to make sure we close the series out here, and I think guys was very focused. We came out very hard, I thought, very focused, not allowing them to kind of get a lead and take our crowd out of it. And, you know, guys did a great job defensively.
We'll hear more from the Blazers in just a moment, in about 10 minutes on Blazer Extra. Next up for Portland.
Channel 2 Sports presents Blazer Extra, an NBA playoff special report. Now here's your host, Lou Gallows.
Welcome again, everyone, and thanks for staying up late with us. Welcome to another edition of Channel 2's Blazer Extra. It's time to bring on Utah now, and joining us to welcome Utah to town when they arrive is former Blazer, current University of Portland head coach Larry Steele, who's filling in for Greg Smith. Welcome, Larry.
It's nice to be here, Lou.
You were at the game and no doubt loved it as the rest of us did.
Not only was it a very exciting game tonight, but also it was a very exciting series. It was a very, very fun basketball to watch.
You hit on one major point that we talked about before we walked into the studio, and that is the way this game was played is about the way any coach would want to diagram it.
Well, we're going to develop that thought a little bit later on in the program, Lou, but I really feel that Rick Adelman has to be very, very pleased with the roles that all of his players played tonight. It's right the way he would diagram it, and now you can take that diagram into the Utah series.
Okay, they won the game. We already know that. Let's quickly check in with Ron Carlson down at the Coliseum to find out what the players thought of that, and then we'll check into some highlights. Ron?
Lou, I think one of the things the players are most excited about is that this Blazers club has finally proven that they have the killer instinct when the other team is down. You remember a couple years ago, I think especially back to the 1990 playoff series, when it seemed like the Blazers always had to go to the last possible game of the series. The 7th game against the Spurs, the 7th game against Phoenix that year, and then last year again when you had the Sonic series, went to the 5th game. The Blazers tonight and also in the Lakers series prove that they do have the killer instinct and can knock the other team down when the opportunity presents itself without it having to go to the final game. Danny Ainge told us after the ball game that he sees an intensity now, and especially in this last series, that he has never seen since he joined the Blazers. He's very excited about what he sees. Reminds him of a lot of those Boston clubs when they would put teams down back when he was playing with them. And the Blazers talked about that afterwards tonight.
You know, we just did a great job. Clyde was big tonight. He had some huge shots for us, and you know, sometimes when we tried to run some things for him, I think he got kind of tired towards the end. But you know, he did a great job tonight for us. I think experience, concentration, the effort that everyone is giving, the preparation of the coaching staff, and everyone is just fully involved. And this is the first time I've really seen this much concentration per game.
Just great to see all of those guys afterwards, low-key kind of, knowing that their work isn't done. The maturity level on this ball club has really escalated, Lou.
Okay, well, we'll be back to explore some more of those thoughts with you, Ron. Let's check the first half highlights with Larry here. I guess you knew Portland was intense, as he said it, when you saw the first opening minutes of the ball game, because Portland jumped to a 6-0 lead before Phoenix even knew what hit them. Here's what happened. Quick start for Portland. This was a 3-0 run after Drexler got it to Buck Williams for the layup and the foul, and Portland was ahead almost for good. They only trailed at one point in the ballgame. Clyde stripped Andrew Lang, got it to Jerome, and then to Porter for the three-pointer, and that's what made it 6-0 in this ballgame. And there comes Terry, and there's the three. They were really working it around at the very beginning. Watch Kevin Johnson here, not happy with the call that came later, and watch him take out the computer monitor there at press row. Surprised a lot of folks. It was that kind of night for KJ, perhaps feeling that groin injury that didn't allow him to play up to par. Clyde missed the drive here, but he was there for the tip-in, and that's one thing the Phoenix guards could not handle, was his ability to get back for those second shots. Phoenix did stay close for a while. Dan Marley with the nice reverse layup, Portland by 2 at that point. Then Jerome Kersey, who was very big in the first half, we'll develop that in a moment, stole the pass. Then Jerome, Cliff, Enos Jerome, and then back to Cliff, the little baseline hook there, and the Blazers had it going very well. Jerome blocked Perry here. Porter made the save, and then we go the other way.
Well, what we're seeing in all these highlights, Lou, is the consistency in the defensive effort, and then plays like this where Clyde takes it to the rim. His teammates were taking it to the basket, and it was just too much for Phoenix to handle.
Defense was really the key. Clyde picked up the loose ball here. Baseball pass to Porter. A lot of easy buckets like this that were keyed off the defense.
Yes, the defense was intense from the beginning of the game, I think, and clear to the end of the game as we see another block. There were something like 12 block shots in tonight's games, and they all led, as Cotton Fitzsimmons said, the layups at the other end. Explosive play.
Buck stealing Chambers' drive there. Clyde with the finger roll, part of a 10-0 Portland run. And then here, Duck with the screen so Porter can drive. Another 70-point first half for the Blazers. That has really been impressive in this series as well.
Well, this has been great basketball to watch, Lou. The Phoenix Suns are a great basketball team. As some of the signs said in the Coliseum tonight, a great basketball team, but the Trailblazers are better. And I think we saw the type of basketball that most fans like to watch.
71-58 was the score at the half, and normally we have a little feature here called Why They Won. We don't have just that, because there was why they were leading at the half is what we call it, and it was Jerome Kersey. You really liked his play in the first half.
Well, Jerome not only was hitting the outside jump shot in this series and in tonight's basketball game, but in the second half, he really was picking up the defensive end. He always played. Everybody that's a Trailblazer fan knows that Jerome Kersey plays as hard as he can from the moment he steps on the court. But when Jerome Kersey is hitting this outside shot, as he was tonight and has been in this series, that gives another dimension to the Trailblazers, a dimension that may lead them to the World Championship this year.
It forces those defenders to key on him as well, not just Clyde and Terry. Kersey leading the break here with the nice pass to Porter.
Well, Lou, that happened a couple of times tonight where he got the ball off the rebound or a turnover and he led the break. I imagine Terry Porter will talk to him about that tomorrow in practice. We don't want you doing that too much, Jerome.
But it was okay for tonight, especially in the first half. Kersey doubling Chambers helps knock the ball away. Clyde got it, and then back to Jerome, the hard drive. He was fouled. He did miss the shot, but he got to go to the free throw line, and he picked up most of his points in the first half, 12 of his 14.
Well, Jerome, you see him going on the floor, but I think more importantly, you saw a lot of the Phoenix Suns players going on the floor tonight. The intensity was there for both teams. The Suns, though, even though they fell behind early in the game, they didn't go away. Very, very good basketball team. Trailblazers just better.
I think that's the case. Now let's check the second half and see why they were able to put them away. More Jerome, wouldn't you know it? Here's his only bucket of the second half, the offensive rebound, and then he gets the putback, as you'll see. As we'll see, there it is. And it's Kevin Duckworth who misses, but there's Jerome right in the middle, a little twisting putback, and Portland's back on the board again. Let's skip ahead to the fourth quarter now. Tom Chambers with the layup here that pulled Phoenix within 3. This was 97 to 94 at this point. That is as close as Phoenix got in this one. They had to be wondering what was going on. Portland pulled away after that. Cliff Robinson blocked Jeff Hornacek, who really never got going in this series. That led to the Terry Porter layup at the other end. And watch the defense here. Clyde and Jerome both blocked Cedric Ceballos. Clyde took the ball the rest of the way. An 8-0 run for Portland after Phoenix had pulled so close, 105 to 94 at that point. Here's Porter with a nice pass to Cliff for a tough shot in the traffic. And then some milestones in the ball game. Danny Ainge with a three-pointer coming up here, his 100th career playoff three-pointer. And everybody knew at that point that this one was pretty much over. Phoenix didn't have enough gas down the stretch. The signs came out. And here's Clyde hitting a little turnaround. 34 for Clyde tonight. Interestingly enough, his career point total equals that of Don Nelson, of all people. And, of course, the celebration at the end here, the final horn, the shot goes awry. Ed Neely and Clyde there. You'll see Cotton Fitzsimmons and Rick Adelman exchanging pleasantries. Danny Ainge and Terry Porter celebrating with the fans. They were loud tonight. There's Cotton and Clyde, wishing Clyde well. You can't hear him because it was too noisy in that there Coliseum, I'd say.
Well, Cotton has had a great career in coaching, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him back in coaching before it's all over. I might refer to one play there where Clyde Drexler put his head down and was going down the court to demonstrate how extremely strong Clyde Drexler is and how strong his hands is. Even though he was going down the court with two Suns trying to take the ball away, he was still able to get between the defenders and go up and put it up on the glass and in. Clyde Drexler, very, very strong. Everybody played their role tonight and played it very well.
When he puts his head down, I think you know something's going to happen.
Yeah,
He's got that
something good.
head down, and it's usually something good. Okay, now, why they won. Let's check out the list of things that we think were very important for this game. You like consistency that Portland displayed.
Well, I like the consistency with their effort on the defensive end. And once that consistency was established on the defensive end, well, then they're getting out on the break. And what they do so well, and Cotton Fitzsimmons alluded to their explosiveness. We all know how explosive the Trailblazers are, and they did it consistently in the first and second halves tonight. And that really makes it very, very difficult on the Suns or any team to come back when you're consistently doing it on the defensive end and getting out and having that aggressive play.
And we saw Clyde with an aggressive play going to the hoop there. Aggressive play in that they never sat back and kind of took it for granted. They just punched it from the opening bell.
Exactly right. The consistency on the defensive end and the hard work meant that they were able to get out on the fast break. But once they were out on the fast break, they weren't satisfied with taking the outside jump shot. They made it a point to take it to the basket. And even at times in the game where maybe one or two guys would take an outside shot once in a while, I think Clyde alluded to this, that they got together and they talked about, let's keep taking it to the basket, and it was very effective tonight.
There was one point, too, when Phoenix had a run where they got kind of close. Rick Adelman called a timeout, and out of the timeout, they ran a set play, and it led to an 8-0 run by the Blazers. We saw that a lot in this series. Greg Smith talked about that. There were some key timeouts called by the coaching staff that really regrouped things, didn't only affect the next play where Portland usually scored, most of the time they did, but also led to big runs that spread out that lead.
Well, at that time, Phoenix got within 3 points, and after that timeout, as you mentioned, Lou, they ran off 12. The Blazers ran off 12. But I think the consistency in quarter to quarter, and that's really what it takes to win. Ron was talking about the intensity the team has and the focus. Well, I think that's always there in playoff games, but I think what they're seeing out of the Trailblazers now is out of 48 minutes, they may be getting up to about 45 minutes of focus and concentration and intensity. That is what I call consistency, and that's the type of consistency you need to win the World Championship.
They're all watchwords. They're words you hear all the time. They sometimes become cliches, but they're coming to focus for the Blazers now, and that leads to good decisions. When you're playing with a focus like that, there won't be any bad decisions. There won't be a lot of turnovers. There won't be a lot of mistakes.
Well, the good decisions, I would say that everybody made good decisions tonight and have been in this series. The coaching staff, when they see a couple of mental breakdowns, they get a timeout to get everyone's heads back into the game plan. You see players that know that they shouldn't be taking an outside shot, taking the ball to the bucket. You see substitutes coming in and playing their roles. You see a situation now where you have from Clyde Drexler to Danny Ainge doing what they do best. It's an excellent basketball team at this time of year, and this is the time of year you want to be excellent. And I think we're just seeing the basketball that will enable them to play very well in the Utah series and give us the, hopefully, the type of series we're all looking forward to with the Chicago Bulls.
What do you mean when you say playing their roles? We kind of alluded to that at the beginning of the broadcast tonight, but you have an interesting explanation for that, and that maybe the folks haven't heard something like this before.
Well, when we won the championship in 76-77, our team was loaded with people that understood their roles. They played a certain way, and in playing the way that we did as individuals, it allowed the coach to make substitutions, know what type of play he's going to get from starters, from bench people, and that he wasn't going to get any surprises on the court. There were not any surprises tonight. You didn't have the 9th or 10th man coming off the bench and scoring 25 or 30 points. That's good. You had Jerome Kersey doing what he does best. You had Clyde doing what he does best. Ainge, Terry Porter, and you just go on down the line. Kevin Duckworth, I think he had a great game. He played a role in tonight's game, and that is what is exciting about this team right now, and I think that's what Rick would be excited about. He's got to be very proud of people that understand their roles, joining together to form just a very, very good basketball team. It's going to get even better, I think.
Well, let's hear what the players have to say about that, and for that we'll check back in with Ron Carlson down at the Coliseum. Ron?
Well, Lou, I think this club has not been really known throughout the past few seasons as a shot-blocking team, but boy, were they the tough guys on the block tonight. 12 blocks for the Blazers. That's just one shy of a playoff record for them. And really, it's kind of a key to this ball game because in the first 4 games, you remember, KJ would drive. There'd be a defensive rotation. It would leave Sabalos or Lang, somebody like that, open for a stuff shot. Tonight, all those guys were contested except for a very few instances. And after the ball game, the Blazers, well, they wanted to talk about how tough this series was and what the keys were to the win. Let's start with Terry Porter.
I think you're right. I think usually the team that gets the lead, the other team comes back and gets like a 1 or 2 point lead, and then the other team kind of takes over. But, you know, we just did a great job. Clyde was big tonight. He had some huge shots for us. And, you know, sometimes when we tried to run some things for him, I think he got kind of tired towards the end. But, you know, he did a great job tonight for us. You know, everybody did a great job of coming in and getting the big shots and the big steals and the big plays for us. I think we've been in the playoff groove since it started. I think we like to stay in this groove because we're playing very well. And it all starts on the defensive end. So it's going to take a constant effort to maintain this type of concentration day in and day out.
Key things this year, it seems like the other team has not had a chance to get you guys into a 5th or 7th game like last year. You've taken care of them when you've had the opportunity.
Well, that is a key, no question about it. Game 4 obviously was a huge game in this series. And tonight, you know, we played great basketball and you know, but we were very fortunate to win Game 4. We were very fortunate to win Game 1 and 2, and it was just a really close series, a lot closer than a 4-1 would indicate.
There's a movie out, obviously, called White Men Can't Jump, but Danny Ainge went up and won a jump ball.
Yeah, that was really a farce. He stole that because I know Hornacek can out-jump him. There's just no way. In fact, everybody can out-jump Danny.
Yeah, well, Ainge is sky high tonight. He was getting off the floor by more than this, that's for sure. One other line I want to tell you about is Jerome Kersey's line tonight. Listen to the 16 points, 12 rebounds, 8 assists, 5 steals, 2 blocks. Jerome Kersey just did it all in all facets of the ball game, guys.
And that's more of that role playing that you're talking about, Larry. You get performances like that, Ron and Larry, and that's what you want to see.
Well, you want to see that, and Jerome is always putting pressure, and I think that might sum up tonight's basketball game. The Trailblazers had consistent pressure on the Phoenix Suns, and if the Phoenix Suns didn't keep their play at the highest level, then they were going to pay with those short bursts that the Trailblazers put on them tonight, where they get down 6, 7 points at a time. And so that consistent pressure, the role playing, Jerome was the top of his game tonight.
Boy, what an incredible and impressive line, as we heard from Ron. 16 points, 12 rebounds, 8 assists, 5 steals, 2 blocks from Jerome Kersey. Let's check some of the team statistics, give you an idea how the teams fared. It's not surprising that the way Portland was getting those easy layups, that they would shoot 54% from the field. Phoenix wasn't that bad. I mean, 45% is usually about what coaches like to see from their ball club.
Well, they shot 50% in the first quarter, and after the first quarter, well, the shots started dropping off, but that was also at the same time that the Trailblazers were picking up their defensive pressure.
Rebounds, an interesting statistic, because sometimes that could be a callywhacker in this series. Portland led there by 12.
Well, the rebounds at times can be misleading, because when the other team is shooting a poorer percentage, you're going to get a few more rebounds. But I think both teams were fairly even on the boards tonight. But Buck Williams and Kevin Duckworth did a good job, and Jerome, of course, was all over the place. Cliff Robertson, I thought in the second half, sort of picked up and took a little lesson from Jerome, and his defense picked up, and his shot blocking picked up as well.
And a lot of those shots lead to fast break points. Portland gets that defense going, and bingo, bango, bongo, as Bill likes to say.
Well, that really right there is a statistic that explains the difference in tonight's basketball game. 28-14 is a big difference. It shows the type of play that the Trailblazers like to do from quarter to quarter, from game to game. And a couple of players mentioned the groove, and I would agree. They're in the groove right now.
Not every game has a storyline which allows us to compare the positions, because the scoring sometimes isn't the best part of the story of the game. But in this case it is, and our position breakdown tonight is at the guard spot, and boy, don't those numbers tell it all. Hornacek did get his points, but Clyde and Terry really did a number, and KJ was very ineffective.
Well, if my math's been good, it looks like about 54-34.
That's why you're a coach.
And that is, well, no, I'm a coach because my math isn't very good. There's a real reason, Lou. But that is a big difference in scoring. But I would say that this series has just been tremendous basketball. I've enjoyed it greatly, and the Utah series is going to be different. But the fans have seen some great basketball here over the last week.
Why do you think the Utah series is going to be different?
Well, it's going to be more of a half-court game. The Jazz are not going to want to get out and run. They're not going to have the type of shooting in depth that the Suns had against the Trailblazers. You know exactly what the Utah Jazz are going to do with the Malone boys, and also with Stockton. And so it's going to be fairly predictable, but it's going to be a war around the basket again.
Does the way Utah play favor Portland?
No, I don't think it does favor Portland. I think that's why the Trailblazers have had a difficult time when they played in Utah, and I think that the Utah is going to have to make the adjustments here. The home court advantage, I think, in this series is going to mean more than it did in the Sun series.
Really?
I believe so.
So do you buy what Sports Illustrated says, that they think Utah is going to knock Portland out of this?
No, I don't. No, the home court advantage is with Portland. I think they'll keep it there.
Okay, well, let's not jump too far ahead, because we want to run down. You've heard Jerome's line. Let's look at the other guys here for the Blazers. Clyde, 34 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists. There's Terry Porter with the 20 points we mentioned. There's just part of Jerome Kersey's lineup. Buck Williams, 14 points and 12 rebounds. Kevin Duckworth with 12 points, and Cliff Robinson with 11 points. So there's that role playing, as Larry has discussed. On the Phoenix side of the ledger, Tom Chambers, once again off the bench with 19 points and 8 rebounds. Perry with 19, Hornacek with 16. I don't know if that part is right there. We thought we just had him with 23 a moment ago. Dan Marley with 15, and KJ at the bottom. I think that groin injury that he had, KJ said, in fact, this morning they weren't even sure he was going to be able to play tonight, and had the game been yesterday, he definitely would not have been able to play. He just never really got off on it tonight.
No, I think that's why he was upset going out of the game in the early parts of the battle, and hit that monitor, because he was upset, and his team was not playing well at the time. He would have liked to have been a little healthier, but did not have any effect on tonight's game. They got beat.
They sure did. And for that, let's go back down to Ron Carlson, who can add some more interesting tidbits, not only from his perspective, but from, I believe, the Phoenix Suns as well.
Well, let me set you straight on one thing first. You are correct. Hornacek, right here, the official stats, finishing with 16 points. We got that squared away. Now, one other thing to talk about, too, is the fact that there was so much made about the Phoenix Suns' ability to hit the outside shot. Well, listen to a couple of these statistics here, just real quickly. Terry Porter, from three-point land in the playoffs so far, 50%. And Danny Ainge, boy, has he been hot lately as well. 5 for his last 7 from three-point land. So the Blazer guards are doing their part with outside shooting. Now, as we've all mentioned already, this is Cotton Fitzsimmons' last game tonight as a coach, at least for now, as he heads into a head office position. And he's the first one we talked with afterwards tonight in the Suns locker room. He was a little fired up.
Don't you think we play them pretty good? So I wouldn't be, why would I be frustrated? I don't think so. You know, that's what this competition's all about. Obviously, you didn't play in sports, because I think that's what competition's all about. If you get frustrated because a better team beats you and you don't want to go back and play them again, you should get out of sports, and that's not my style.
We want to go against the best. You know, if you want to win it all, which is our goal, you got to beat everybody. You got to beat the best teams, and you know, you have to go through Portland somehow, or you know, sometimes. So you might as well just get them now and see what happens.
I don't think they get as much respect or credit as they deserve. I mean, that team executes down the stretch. They play great team basketball. They have some real hard workers on the team, and Jerome Kersey and Buck Williams, who are relentless. And you know, I just can't say enough about that team and how far they've come over the last 2 years. I think this is a much better team than even last year when they had a better record.
And we'll see what happens now as they head off to Utah. And for those of you trying to plan out your week to see how you should set things up for your schedule, starting off Game 1 Saturday here at the Coliseum at 12:30. Then Game 2 is also here at the Coliseum at 7:30. Then down to Utah for Games 3 and 4 on Friday and Sunday. At least that's it for now. Lou?
Okay, Ron, thank you very much. We'll see you over the weekend as we begin the coverage of the Utah series. 1 point before we leave. Executing down the stretch. We heard KJ say it just there. And from my perspective, as a guy who covered another NBA team until this year, that's the rap we always heard about Portland up until this season, is that they can't execute when it counts down the stretch. This series, actually this last half of the season and on into the playoffs, they've been doing it.
Well, you get the rep for not being able to execute down the stretch if you miss shots. If you make shots, you execute, and that's really the difference, Lou.
True coach speaking there. Okay, Ron alluded to our schedule. Here it is for us on Channel 2. The next game will be played Saturday at 12:30. I believe that's an NBC game. Then at 6:30 during our Channel 2 news, we'll be back for another edition of Blazer Extra, have all the highlights and analysis for you of Game 1 of the Utah series. And then Ron said the next game was at 7:30, but he left out the day. Game 2 would be on Tuesday, Election Day, so make sure you vote early so you can pay attention to basketball in the evening, and of course the election results here on Channel 2 as well. For Larry Steele, who's sitting in ably for Greg Smith, and for Ron Carlson, and a regrouping Jerry Murphy, who is ill but will be with us Saturday, I'm Lou Gallows. Thanks for staying up late with us tonight. We'll see you tomorrow. Good night.
Title, and they're posted on cars, billboards, and just about everywhere you can think of. But one fan in Portland, in the Portland area, ran into some problems. She put a sign up, but was asked to take it down. Now, as Ken Ackerman reports, the community has rallied behind her.
You may have seen the article in the Oregonian this morning about a woman who was asked to take down her Go Blazer signs hanging in her apartment window. The complex managers were following strict guidelines set by the owners. A bit silly, maybe, maybe not. But what transpired during the day took everyone by surprise.
What's that for?
For her, of course.
Grace Struthers' apartment turned into Grand Central Station. Relatives stopped by with signs, and the phone rang off the hook.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye. That was Mike Kopetsky.
I think the whole world needs a little bit of fun. And when it comes to Portland and everybody's enjoying it and having fun, I don't see why somebody has to try to spoil it all.
How much sense does that make? That's like putting Christmas lights up in the window for Christmas time. When you're in the feeling, the fever or whatever, what's going on, like the Blazers right now, why not? What's putting a sign in the window? It's not like you can't take it down.
It's not hard to understand why apartment managers Bill and Dorothy Lang refused to comment. If you were subjected to the calls they were today, you'd be a little shaken too.
And I think you people are totally sick, and if you don't like
the Blazers, why don't you go live in another state? And what you're doing is illegal. You cannot tell her not to put the signs in her windows. You will continue to receive harassing calls unless you let her put those signs back up in her windows.
What's your problem? You are a loser with no life of your own if you have to take some 70-year-old lady and say you can't put up two little, 10-inch by 6-inch signs. What a loser. Get a life.
There are some who offer positive criticism in cases such as these, yet others feel that abusive language and threats are all in line when it comes to the support of a sports team. Sad as it may be, but these people obviously feel the need for profanity rather than diplomacy. Complex owner Steve Allenson says the rule serves a purpose. However, he's not opposed to change.
Basically, just the management standard of keeping our apartment complexes clean and free of anything that might be objectionable to people. In the case of the Blazers, I can't see anything objectionable about those signs, and after a discussion with our management couple at Fernwood this morning, we decided that that would be allowable as a fairly harmless diversion for virtually anybody.
Grace Struthers has her signs hanging in the window this evening, and the apartment management will...
They've been able to beat us twice in their place, and we've been able to beat them twice in ours. So the verdict is still out on which team is the more dominant team, but I feel that we have to play our game plan tomorrow, use our quickness, and get up the floor and do the things we do well.
The point is, though, we had to come out and play a good game. We had to get the first win.
Because all it takes is one game on their floor, and you're right there. And our main thing right now is they remind us a lot of Seattle and the Clippers, where they like to get out and run the floor, and they like to get dunked to get the crowd into it.
Now the Cavs and Celtics are heading for...
That's okay. Both teams know each other very well.
Probably going to try to slow it down, get into a half-court set, and execute. And we're accustomed to what they like to do. I think it's going to be, game is going to be won and lost on the defensive end.
Came too far, and we turned a lot of heads, and we just want to continue to play. And the main thing is never get too high, never get too low. If you have a bad game, shake it off, come back the next game, because this is a playoff now.
Tip-off tomorrow at 12:30 at Memorial Coliseum. Not a good day for...
Playing pretty good ball lately, and they are. The Jazz rolled into town late this afternoon. There's the mailman, bigger than life as always, and he's been playing bigger than life too. John Stockton and the rest of the guys apparently planning to fly back to Salt Lake tomorrow evening after the game and then fly back to Portland for Game 2. Mike Brown says we should be in for a good series.
Well, I think we come in here with a real positive attitude. I mean, we've been playing really well, and that's all we can really do right now. We came in, this is the finals of the West, and we're both here. Last year's over with, and we just have to think positive and look for this year.
Well, meanwhile, the Blazers practice today at the Coliseum. There aren't many secrets between these two teams. They battled for 5 games in the playoffs last year, 4 more times this season. Rick Adelman thinks he knows what to expect.
It's going to be a tough series. They're one of the best teams in the league. They've had a great year. They've got a lot of people who can hurt you, and I just think it's going to be a physical and a very entertaining series.
Buck Williams will be going head-to-head with one of the most amazing forces in the universe, Karl Malone. But stopping the mailman isn't just a one-man job, as Kevin Duckworth pointed out for us today.
We wouldn't put it on Buck's shoulders to stop Karl one-on-one. That's just like putting Buck in the middle of the field and say, Buck, stop that cow running down the street. Or that bull coming at you, No, he couldn't do that to him.
We wouldn't want to do that to him. Game 1 tomorrow, 12:30. See it right here on Channel 8. In fact, games 1, 4, 5, 6, and 7 will be seen here on KGW. The Boston Celtics had to have a win tonight at the Garden to stay alive in that series with the Cleveland Cavaliers. They stuck Larry Bird into the starting lineup for the first time in ages, and he came up very big for him. The Celtics playing a great game tonight. Larry a little mad coming in because some people were wondering out loud if maybe the Celtics should have left him on the bench in Game 5. He answered the way he has always answered, on the court. The dandy feed to the Chief there. Then he does it again. You don't think these two old guys have done that play a few times over the years? Kevin McHale had a big game as well. Watch him hit that flat jumper of his. D. Brown, ground level to Larry Bird. Back to the trailer, Ed Pinckney, who lays it in. Bird wound up with 16 points, 14 assists, 7 rebounds. He even got into some trash talk with Hot Rod Williams right here. The